After years of waiting and a few delays later, we finally have an Assassin's Creed set in Japan, Assassin's Creed Shadows. And before we get into the greater part of the impressions, I want to be upfront and honest. I think that this game is pretty decent. It's not God's gift to video games, but it's also not Satan's blight upon the industry. Honestly, if you enjoy Assassin's Creed games, especially the RPG-like ones, you'll be right at home, and more than likely you'll enjoy this one. But if you don't, Shadows will probably not be the one to change your mind in that regard. Also, if you're feeling the open world fatigue from over the past few years, you may not enjoy this either. The map here is pretty vast. I myself, though, have been having a pretty good time so far. I've played about 25 hours worth with a few gripes and nitpicks along the way, so let's talk about it. The game starts with a brief introduction to Yasuke, quickly shifting over to Naoe where the story gets legs and starts walking. You end up playing as Naoe for quite some time before you get back to playing as Yasuke, but once you do, you'll be able to swap characters pretty much on the fly anytime you want. And it's nice that the two characters are actually distinct from one another. It's no choice of male or female like Odyssey or Valhalla, or even Syndicate with Jacob and Evie. Naoe plays like your classic stealth-focused AC character, while Yasuke is more of a powerhouse, tanking hits and bulldozing through walls and doors, but is pretty limited in his mobility options. His abilities in combat are great, but as soon as you need to traverse the landscape, there isn't really much he can do. Climbing certainly isn't his strong suit. You're given the freedom to play as who you want for the most part. Certain quests will require you to play as one character over the other, but most quests, side quests, and activities, it's left completely up to you. I'm more of a stealth player, failing at it more times than I like to admit, but it's also fun to dive into combat as Yasuke from time to time as well. Speaking of which, the combat is also different this time around. It focuses a lot more on parries and dodge timing, your typical modern affair with signals for unblockable attacks and parries and the like. Light and strong attacks on R1 and R2 respectively, and a set of combat abilities on a contextual menu, with a skill tree to unlock new skills and abilities as you progress further. The approach to combat is also pretty different for each of the two characters. Where Yasuke can handle a large group of enemies much easier, encouraging combat encounters, Naoe is the opposite. Big crowds are pretty much a death sentence for her. 2 or 3 enemies will feel like a much bigger group than it actually is, actively discouraging combat in favor for the stealthy approach. In comparison to its RPG-like predecessors, the stealth gameplay here is a huge step up, if not for any other reason than the franchise first, going prone. Who would have thought? Laying down and concealing yourself would make such a huge difference, huh? It's a crucial addition, especially with the setting of the game. Feudal Japan isn't exactly known for its high verticality. There's the tall pagodas, but you'll mostly be sticking to climbing the smaller buildings and fortress walls. Having the option of slinking into foliage and under structures opens up the stealth to give you more routes to do what you need to do. Staying low is very beneficial, especially since some of the enemies are just plain blind, while others have eyes like a hawk, getting suspicious of you but not outright alert. So it's no surprise that the AI this time around is a bit more robust. I had this one interesting moment where a groundskeeper spotted me as I was choking out a guard. He then ran off and I made peace with a raised alarm, but it never came. What did come though was the same groundskeeper with another guard in tow to check out the scene of the crime. Luckily I stashed a body in the bushes so no one would be any the wiser. The guard couldn't find the body, so he legitimately scolds the groundskeeper for wasting his time. Such a cool little moment I wasn't remotely expecting to be in the game. Now of course you also have your tools to aid you as well. Your kunai, smoke bombs, shuriken, bell, all with their uses, some even for both combat and stealth. Where the kunai excels in DPS, the shuriken excels in stun. The smoke bomb chokes the enemy while also concealing you from their vision, where the bell just gets their attention to wherever you throw it to. All of the tools can be improved through the skill tree as well, giving them better utility and application. Now of course this is still an Assassin's Creed game, so you'll have your series staples like whistling to get a guard's attention and then assassinating them, and sometimes the jank of it will consume you, but it's still fun. All of the new additions make it a very fun and fresh experience. As the story progresses, you'll find yourself moving through the 9 provinces, doing what you normally do in these types of open world Ubisoft games, but just with that slightly new flavor. The little changes to the series staples are actually pretty refreshing, but the map is so vast it can't help but feel repetitive at times. Viewpoints have changed. There's still high points you climb up to, but this time around, you'll have to manually scope out the POIs yourself. And upon hearing that, it may sound cumbersome, but I kinda dig it. It allows you to get your bearings in the area, potentially pulling your attention towards something you may want to do or scout out an area you're about to infiltrate or attack. It's also pretty funny watching Yasuke completely beef the leap of faith. The next big change though is how the quest objectives are handled. When a quest is active, you're not given the exact location of where you need to be. You're given a few hints to the general location to where it is, forcing you to explore the area and cross-reference the map. I actually don't mind this at all. Having to use my thinking brain and discover things on my own is fun and satisfying to me. I can definitely see some other people not enjoying it at all. If that's a turnoff for you, there's also an option to send in scouts from your hideout to do the heavy lifting for you to make it easier. Which takes us to another new feature, the hideout. Similar to the village from Valhalla, you have a hideout that you can customize and upgrade to your liking. Things like a stable, a place for your scouts, a forge for a blacksmith, amongst other buildings and decorations, giving you access to different passives, boosts, and upgrades. Some things are just for decoration though, just to spruce up the place however you see fit. You can even add dogs and cats you find across the map. You just need to walk up to them and give them a pet. Now you have them. So yes, you can pet the dog and the cat. Some of the animals that you find in the wild and draw pictures of, you can add to your hideout as well. I have these monkeys at my hideout. A little town management in your assassination revenge video game. Speaking of which, the story itself, in my opinion, is serviceable. The prologue and Act 1 as a whole seem to run a little long, but that's honestly completely dependent on how much you explore the world and dive into side quests and activities. As I said, it's a big map. The TLDR setup to the plot is that our two main characters get played by a secret organization, thus giving them a lust for revenge. At the time of recording, I've gotten just a bit past the ending of Act 1. The greater part of the story and all of its intricacies you can experience for yourself. One thing to note along with the story is the visuals and presentation. The world itself is beautiful, and at times the characters also look beautiful, but at some other times, not so much. There's been cutscenes where I've noticed that the animation is very stiff and clunky, where in others it's as smooth as butter, which makes the jank all the more jarring. Playing the game with the English dub is also something to note as well. It's completely serviceable, but it felt like for most of the cast, English wasn't their first language, which is fine, just something that I felt like I should note. There's also a fair bit of Portuguese spoken as well. I'm pretty sure whether you choose the Japanese dub or the English dub, it will always be subtitled. Overall though, as I said in the beginning of this video, 25 hours in, I enjoy this game. It's a stealth action video game set in feudal Japan, starring a shinobi and a samurai. Is it a perfect game? Far from it. Is it an awful game? Also, far from it. It's a big map filled with a lot of things to do, a bunch of which may start to feel repetitive, getting into a wash, rinse, repeat scenario, occasionally finding the gems that stand apart. The stealth is also very fun and engaging, the combat as well. But then there's also weird decisions made for the game, like the Animus projects that reward you with a separate kind of experience to use in this weird battle pass like system. It all just seems like cool rewards you can claim through your progression, but styling it after a battle pass has to be the biggest oddball decision I've seen in a long time. That said though, if this game has that gameplay loop that you like, I can definitely recommend playing this game, especially if you love ninjas and samurai and old school Japanese movies. Definitely recommend. If that doesn't strike your fancy, I'd say maybe skip this one or wait for a good sale down the road. Of course, these are my opinions. I tried to give you both some pros and some cons. Let me know how you feel about the game. Were you looking forward to this game at all, or have you been playing this for the past week? I know that this game has been pretty polarizing online, but we at Hollow Pixels would love to hear from you down in the comments below. So as always, talk to us. Let us know.